Welcome to the Concordia Seminary booth at the Houston Convention of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. And sitting here with me is Dr. Viji George, president of Concordia University in Bronxville, New York.
Great to be here, Dale.
Yeah, tell us about what you're doing at the convention.
You know, coming to these conventions for me personally is a way of connecting to what happens in our national church body and what happens in our own little corner of the world where we live, work, and minister. Concordia in New York, by God's grace and through the benevolence of a lot of our friends, is doing well. Again, as we sort of look ahead to the future, the constant issue for us is what does it mean to be a Christian/Lutheran institution in a region in which those kinds of terminologies, those kinds of traditions and history doesn't really have the same kind of resonance as it used to 20, 30, 40 years ago. So being true to whatever our core foundational values were and finding new ways of doing that really seems to be the issue for us. Yeah.
Much of the Missouri Synod's membership is in the Midwest, although that is changing. Could you give us a story or two about what it's like to be in the metropolitan New York region and how that reflects exactly what you said, that the world has changed and this is not the Concordia College of 100 years ago?
You know, there was a time when on our campus, when we did Reformation services, there used to be 4,000 people who showed up.
Wow.
3,000 to 4,000 people who showed up for Reformation services. From that, we have gone to, in the Atlantic District, the average congregation worship attendance is 55 on a Sunday.
Would you say that again, please? I'm
The
getting older. My
I know.
has my hearing slipped, or did you say the truth?
No. I'm telling you the truth. The average attendance of congregations in the Atlantic District is around 55 on a Sunday morning.
Wow.
And the average age, you can imagine.
Gray hairs.
Yeah, that's right. So when you're talking about running an educational enterprise like what you do and what I do, we're simply not producing them in the pews. And it's just simply not happening. And so the question becomes then how do we redefine who it is that we're there to minister to? And then how do we go about getting them through our doors? And so it really completely changes the dynamics in which we work. We need to form alliances not only to our traditional population, but also newly emerging. For example, in our community, to just give you a number which sort of begins to tease a lot of this stuff out, almost 47% of my development dollars come from my zip code.
47% of your development dollars, the money you need to run Concordia.
Money that we raise, comes from our zip code.
What does that mean?
By that I mean 10708, the community in which Concordia Bronxville is situated, that's where almost 47% of my development dollars come from.
And does that mean that
none of them are Lutheran?
Your community sees the value of Concordia.
That's exactly the point. The point is that what we do as a synodical institution, as a Lutheran institution, it has value and has resonance in our general population. Because, for example, we are situated in the same community in which Sarah Lawrence College is. And if you know American liberal arts institutions at large, Sarah Lawrence is a premier institution and has the reputation of being the most expensive liberal arts institution in the country. Now, the people in the community value our students far more than they value the students of Sarah Lawrence, really? Simply because they know who we are and what we stand for.
Well, Concordia Seminary is experiencing the same dynamic on a smaller degree, in that letting the community know that we are there for the sake of the community.
Right.
That our green space is community green space. We're experiencing the same thing. Am I correct to conclude that Concordia Bronxville actually sees itself as a service and a mission outpost for the church?
Yes, we do. We really do. And I think, and therein lies our future, you know, where we don't go back to the traditional modes of support, you know, and rely exclusively on them, but really forming new alliances where our core values and our core messages tend to resonate, and where then we begin to form partnerships within the community in which we are there working, living, and breathing.
Can you give me an example of a community partnership?
For example, a member in the community spent several $100,000 putting together an art gallery on our campus. Now, this art gallery was fully funded by this community resident, and now the art gallery then hosts events and shows and concerts within the art gallery that draws over 1,000 people from the community every month to our campus. You know, so now this is a community college partnership where we serve the community, but yet the art gallery then in turn also serves our art department. Mm-hmm. So there's payoffs on both ends. Now, from a community's point of view, this enables them to have a presence, you know, within their own backyard.
And it gives you a chance to share in an appropriate way the mission of Concordia and the mission of our church.
Exactly.
Well, one of the partnerships that we have enjoyed from our side at Concordia Seminary is sending students out for intensive classes on urban ministry.
Yes.
They stay, and correct me if I don't have the details right, our Concordia St. Louis students stay in your dormitories.
Yes, they do.
And then they go down into the city for intensive experiences.
Yes. And what a great opportunity that is. Actually, this last group that was there, I had them over for lunch at our house. You know, there's 17, 18 of the seminarians who were there, were at home, and were shepherded along by D.N. Taylor, one of our graduates and a pastor in a local congregation. And you know, when I had these seminarians around our kitchen table, dining room table.
You got a big kitchen table if you have 17.
But we were really talking about this very issue that we were talking about. For example, you know, I was saying to them, look, guys, you know, Concordia Bronxville, as well as the rest of the Concordias, really rely on you guys to pass the word to the young kids in your congregation as a source to us. I mean, and the role that they then in turn play. But more importantly, to your point, it was really neat to see these guys take the subway and go into the Bronx and get a sense of how pluralistic, you know, New York metro area is, but yet within that pluralistic world where we really have a message that resonates and can in fact bring people to.
Pluralistic doesn't mean relative.
No, it does not.
It means that we have a solid witness in a pluralistic culture that we want to share.
Yes.
I'll tell you, when students come back from experiences like those, and we're trying to give our residential students as many of those immersion experiences as we can, when they come back, I talk to them, I say, will you ever study theology the same way on this old Gothic campus? And they say, absolutely not, because you get into their head and start to rewire that. I hope that we can do a lot more partnerships like that in the future.
Would love to, because I think there is a need for us in the East Coast where there isn't really a seminary presence, for us to be connected with what you folks do, so that we can come up with, you know, new innovative ways of making these kinds of career choices possible for a lot of people in our area, which wouldn't otherwise be possible.
I also think that it becomes more and more possible with our distance capabilities.
That's right.
Our faculty conceivably could do some teaching in person or via distance of some of your pre-seminary students, and your theological faculty, not just your theological faculty, your other faculty members can teach some necessary courses to our seminary. Yeah. So I hope we can pursue that in the future.
Hope so too.
Okay. Any parting word, Dr. George?
Keep up the good work.
Okay, you too.